I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia,
Sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners
We'll be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream that one day even the state of
Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice,
sweltering with the heat of oppression will be transformed
formed into oasis of freedom and justice.
Yo tengo un sueño que un día mis 4 hijos serán.
Vivre dans un pays où ils ne seront pas juges à la couleur de la peau.
Hukolea bukaite nge.
un sogno. Ho sogno che un giorno in Alabama,
With its vicious races, with its governor having its lips, dripping with the words of interposition and nullification.
One day here in Alabama, little black boys and little black
Girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and work girls as sisters and brothers.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream.
I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day
Every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain.
Shall be made loud, the rough places will be made plain.
and the crooked places will be made straight, and the
glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it.
It together, this is our hope, this is the faith that I.
Go back to the south with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of
Hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the
Jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony.
Of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work
Together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to
Jail together, to stand up for freedom together. Knowing
that we will be free one day.
when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring.
From every city and every hamlet, from every state and
Every city we will be able to speed up that day when all.
Of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and
Gentiles, Protestants, and Catholics will be able to join.
Hands and sing in the words of the Holy Spirit.
Free at last, great God Almighty, we are free at last.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
Crimson leaves dance with the wind. Cool air pecks at my skin. A garden grows and changes, and new leaves sprout. The sun caresses my cheeks and smiles as clouds sway in the sky. Tranquility fills my home, tucks me in at night as gentle trees breeze through flourishing spring branches.
It is warm, too cold for short sleeves, but echoes of gunshots at the local park, a bang sends another man to the ground. Like a never-ending hurricane, people march streets peacefully, strive to be equal, fight with virtue, along the driftwood path like plants thriving in unison. Someday that rain will extinguish the fire, and the grass will flow emerald green. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Barbara Velasquez. I'm the co-chair of the Coalition's Civic Engagement Committee, and I would like to welcome you all here today. Today's program is all about the power of one, with special emphasis on our youth. Martin Luther King was one man, and it's unbelievable how much change he created in the world through his inspiration and the power within the one man. So I hope this will inspire you as an individual to take action and know that you have power as one individual. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Mark Mucci, who year after year has taken on the project leader role. And I'd like to thank you for the role that you've taken.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out this afternoon. We're doing something a little different this year from past programs. We are turning it over to the youth of our community. Students at Columbia High School, at the middle schools, and younger students as well are going to be taking part in and presenting this program. We enjoyed poetry written by and presented by students from Stacy Lawrence's class here at Columbia High School. There will be several other selections during the course of this program. And as I said, as one of the adults, it's our job to try to get out of the way of the students who have a great message for us today. But before that, I have one more adult to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, the Honorable Frank McGahee, Mayor of Maplewood.
Good afternoon, and happy MLK Day. On behalf of the Community Coalition on Race, thank you for joining us today. My name is Frank McGahee, and I am the 16th mayor of the Township of Maplewood. I am also the second African American mayor in our town's 98-year history. I would like to recognize all the dignitaries and public officials here today. Assemblywoman J.C., South Orange trustees, Board of Ed members, and especially my colleagues, Deputy Mayor Dean Daffis, Committee Man Greg Limbrick, who I know is on his way. There he is. Hey, Greg. And former Mayor and Township Committee Man Vic DeLuca. Committeewoman Nancy Adams and President Sheena Collins said their regrets they had engagements. As we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King, I want to remind us all that today, on this day, exactly 11 years ago, a 47-year-old Barack Obama became the 44th President of the United States of America. This day. President Obama brought hope and change, but the last 4 years, we have shifted to fear and hate. We have marched for Black Lives Matter, women's rights, climate change, immigration rights, LGBTQ rights. As Dr. King once said, a riot is the language of the unheard. But today's program, led by our youth, is a reminder that hope is not lost. Dr. King said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And in this 2020 election year, we have a tremendous opportunity to move forward, onward and upward. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Minister Patricia Bridges of the First Baptist of South Orange Church for the invocation.
Let us pray together. Gracious and eternal God, we've assembled ourselves in this place on this extraordinary day that you have crafted and made. We rejoice and we are glad in it. We've gathered from multiple faiths to give you thanks and praise for who you are in our lives, for your grace, for your mercy, and for your loving kindness towards us. How great and awesome you are. We come together to celebrate your power as shown through the life of one who trusted you in all things and withstood the many painstaking and long-suffering challenges to reshape a world consciousness through divine humility, compassion, and love. A life of faith and of great courage, the life of Martin Luther King. O Holy One, we invoke your presence here in this place today. We open our hearts and we say, come in. Touch every life here, young and seasoned. Change our minds, change our hearts, move our feet. We ask for your wisdom, for your divine direction in times like these, your strength to persevere in hope, your patience in tribulation, and insight to reach and ignite this splendid generation and the generations to come, to move in your purpose of unity, faith, and love. As we stand unified as one, let your divine blessed presence move amongst us, enrich and empower us to reflect on your power at work in us all. That the power of one is the power of you, O Holy One, in and through us. And for this we are grateful. And we offer this prayer in earnest in your name with reverence, hope, and love. Amen.
Now we got to get this thing right. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best.
I definitely feel like I have an obligation to make a difference, because if I don't do it, then who will? And I just think, like, if I know that I have power, or some type of power, or some type of voice, I need to use it, because if not, then I'm just being selfish.
I've had this perspective that if you have knowledge, it's your job to spread knowledge.
I have the power to make a difference, and so then therefore I have the responsibility to make a difference.
I don't think that anybody should feel obligated to do the right thing, because, I mean, it's your choice. It's your choice to live the right or the wrong path.
I feel like so many people in the school don't know anything about what's going on.
The indignities that Black and brown students face, whether it be leveling or the issues of teacher discrimination, have inspired a lot of activism within the school, I'd say.
There's not a lot of Black students or students of color within the AP. Why is it that the majority of minorities are in these lower classes and not the AP classes?
These levelings systematically disadvantage people who are considered to be not as smart, and teachers would not care about these students.
The lower level classes are mostly Black, the higher level classes are mostly white. It's obvious and it's not right, that's not how it should be.
It's so much harder to rise to low expectations, to rise above low expectations.
And it's a system that has been working since we were children.
And having that energy, the energy of the actual power, the motivation, the determination to find the solution to this problem, all of you are doing your part right now. So feel good about it. Feel good about it.
Individuality is important. Can we get mass change done as individuals? No, of course not. We have to be connected.
We're stronger together and we're stronger in numbers.
As long as I keep voicing my opinions and being as loud as I can and trying to get heard.
Find out what your voice is, where it's coming from. We hear a lot of voices here at Columbia, and sometimes they all sound the same, and I think individuality is really important.
Build a platform by the words that you're saying. I feel like no one should be discouraged because they don't have clout or they don't have the resources to speak on a global stage, national, even local. If you continue to try to push your message out there are going to be people who are going to coincide with you and who also agree with you, who can help you create the bigger picture of what you're trying to say or what you're trying to do. So,
like, to educate my peers and hopefully get them inspired to want to do more.
If you want to start making change, find people who are already doing it.
I led strikes and walkouts with my club, Students for Justice, and along with the Environmental Club. And we gathered with students and got them all to walk out. It was really great. And we've done 2, and maybe we'll do a 3rd. We'll see.
It's cold. We're getting absences. We're making sacrifices of all kinds, but we're making an impact by standing here today. There is power in numbers, and by being here, you are making history.
The world isn't fair, and I don't appreciate that. I think that's what really drives me to do the things that I do and motivates me to try to help other people with my music. Can you take me back to memory lane where all of our people were kings and queens? Maya Angelou said, why do us cage birds sing? I think we're crying out for help because they clipped our wings. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X. These people did not think that they were going to be these great, magnificent figures that we study about today. They were just trying to make a difference in the time being.
People looked up to them, and it was as if they were this one powerful symbol. At the same time, they wanted to include everybody. This was a voice, and this was a message for everyone to interpret, and everyone to look back on and feel as if they were included, and they also had that power as well.
How are we deconstructing hatred around us and within ourselves? We have to be constantly doing that work, and it's really important work to be done, because otherwise those they'll just fester.
Hatred should be nowhere in a school environment, not in a place where we're growing, we're being cultivated. The years that we spend here are going to have an impact on us for the rest of our lives.
There is so much power in unity, and unity is built from the power of one. Our own individual power, that's the catalyst. We are all catalysts to start bigger movements of change. It takes each and every one of us to make that a possibility.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. A call to celebration. Executive Director Nancy Gagnier.
Hi. Wow. Every year I begin with this because your presence gives me such hope, and every year there are more and more people in this room, and we have, a partially full balcony as well. It's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I want to recognize our trustees. I'm the Executive Director of the Community Coalition on Race. I've been doing that for 12 years. It's my privilege to serve in that role, and it has been my great privilege to work with so many wonderful people in the community. Can the trustees who are here stand up? Coalition trustees, come on. Thank you. We really can't do this without their work. They put in a lot of time and effort throughout the year. We also cannot do this work without our volunteers, and this program has been put on by a large group of volunteers on our, we call it the MLK committee for short. We also have a Luminary Project committee. I'm not going to name everyone. They're in your program. They're amazing people. If you see them, thank them. They bring a lot to this community. And I also want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Allison Seifert, for supporting the Luminary Project. Thank you so much for helping that. So I assume most of you know who the Community Coalition on Race is. We've had a mission of racial integration and true inclusion for over 20 years. In addition to working regularly on racial equity in our schools, neighborhoods, shared leadership, and on bringing people together across racial barriers, we're continually confronted with new issues that need our attention and our response. This year alone, we were excited, on a positive note, to bring attention to the important work being done by the 1619 Project. And we continue in this year, in 2020, to collaborate to bring that learning out to the community every month. And sadly, we were confronted with messages of hate brought to our towns by a white nationalist group from New Jersey. The community response is coming from the Soma Against Hate Collective, which includes us, our wonderful activist partners, Soma Action, Soma Justice, and leaders from the faith community, and we are grateful for that collective. On that note, if you want to share the message the collective is putting out, these are the signs. They are available downstairs at the volunteer fair at a table. There are stakes. We hope that you will take them and show them on your lawn. Thanks, Frank. We can't do any of what we do without you. It's a community effort, so we hope that you will go to our website, communitycoalitiononrace.org, to see what we're working on, what we're involved in, the programs that we're bringing out to the community throughout the year. And lastly, I just want to say that I've had the privilege of working with students here for over 20 years. And I have helped to shepherd 3 of my own through. I can tell you that our students are fierce in thought and action when it comes to racial and economic justice. They think big, and they do big things. You just saw some of it. I have confidence in our youth, and I invite you to witness more of their ideas today. Parents, guardians, teachers, and leaders, we have the duty of care to educate and guide, but we also sometimes need to just get out of their way and let them take us on paths we never imagined. Thank you.
We will be able to hew out of a mountain of despair a stone of hope. Everyone, stand up. Let's lift up every voice and sing. True peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Student poem number 2.
Paths. Hate is a path to darkness, an angry fire that scorches beneath porcelain skin.
Hate is denying a blooming flower water.
Hate is the sounds of people falling, bleeding blood orange.
Hate is a sour taste we have created.
Hate is a space everlasting that fills bitterness with bliss.
Hate is lava, oozing out of an extinct volcano like a toxic fire in Chernobyl.
Did it just start?
Hate is bullets flying with no notice, ricocheting off the sirens, screams of falling victims.
Hate is the cracking and crunching of ribs under a student's hands.
Hate is an icy wind that whips around her face as cold, flaky bark crumbles under her hands.
Hate is an unread book, covered in smoke and ash.
Hate is screaming sirens as he sprints through empty backyards.
Hate is inequality through the tantrum of chance.
Hate is the clang of gavel.
Hate is cell bars that block him from buoyancy.
Hate is a cancer, one little malignant sound that metastasizes.
Hate is police promising to protect people, but panic still paints the people. Purple shoes run across ashen-ridden concrete.
Yet,
hate is fuel for determination, like an ivory moon that cannot tarnish.
Like a raven who paints the skins of children linked arm over arm in protest.
Winter snow whispering on their boots, waving the tan splintered wood sign calling for change.
I found strength in an immigrant story. My mom, a childhood role model.
Whose gray skies would not tether her hope.
Whatever affects one directly, affects all indirectly. We will now have our Max Scholar feature presentation.
The power of one is about individuality, but it is also about having the courage to remain separate, to think through to the truth, and to not be deceived by convention or the plausible arguments of those who want to maintain power. Courage is the most important thing a person can possess, and that is why we will always cherish courageous revolutionaries. Revolutionaries like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose courage was on full display through marches, speeches, and other nonviolent acts throughout the civil rights movement. The only way our world can improve is if we wield the power of courage and force it to change. But in order to begin this change, we must first have the audacity to do this. We need those people in our lives that will push us further than we think we can go, and won't accept anything less than the very best versions of ourselves. This is the role that the minority achievement community plays in the lives of Columbia High School students and everything they touch. When I think of how MAC has affected me personally, my voice is the first thing that comes to mind. MAC has taught me to value my responsibilities, to step out of my comfort zone if only for the sake of personal growth, and to take equity and responsibility in my community personally. It has given me the courage to be a leader, whether or not I thought I was ready for it, and it has made hundreds of leaders over the course of its existence. This support for children of color is one of the most important things to have in a community, and we've already seen the amount of change that one confident person can make. Imagine a generation of them. There is so much history that is not in our books, and so many lies that we are told that only serve to disempower us. But if we call upon the strength of our truly heroic Black and brown ancestors to help us realize our own, there is nothing that we cannot do. Thank you.
Who are we? A family. What do we do? Achieve. This motto is something I truly believe. Being a member of MAC during my high school experience at Columbia has been amazing. It's been amazing to know that I have such a large and motivating support system that wants to see me succeed academically. It's difficult enough being a minority and being placed into a box and having limits set at every corner, so being offered things such as SAT prep, college essay writers, tutoring, and mentoring with no cost was such a blessing. MAC has given me the resources to be the best student I could possibly be. I truly believe that without MAC, I probably would not have been able to challenge myself academically and would not be the student I am today. MAC nurtures Black and Latinx youth and shapes them into the excellence that they are. Through programs like Mini MAC, Middle MAC, and MAC Men, we are able to mentor the youth and help guide them on their path to greatness. I participate in the Mini MAC program, and just the other day we had our first meeting. Walking into Seth Boyden and seeing these beautiful and intelligent young Black and brown children with so much ahead for them in the future filled me with joy. And the fact that my younger brother was there as well made me so glad that MAC has programs like these in place. And I remember after the meeting had ended, my little brother ran up to me and was like, "I love this. I had so much fun, Shauna. I wish this could be every week." And knowing that I had the opportunity to lead and create success for my own family and for these little children warms my heart and makes me very grateful to have been able to partake in that. We are here today to celebrate the life and achievements of Martin Luther King Jr., who was such an influential civil rights leader. MLK emphasized that there is power in unity, power in togetherness, and power in one moving force. MAC provides that sense of togetherness and unity for the student minorities within Columbia. MAC is a place where we are able to come together and achieve and voice our thoughts. We have definitely come a long way in history, and even though we have a lot more to do, through programs like MAC, we are hopefully able to instill the changes and dreams that MLK had for the future. Thank you.
I believe every high school needs a program like MAC, and every secondary school needs a program like Mini MAC. The problem is, you wouldn't know the impact of said programs until you've been a part of them. I had a very profound experience being a part of Mini MAC. It made me feel like I had a purpose when I needed one most. If I had no other motivation, I had this kid who I didn't see often, yet I wanted to be the best version of myself all the time for him. So that when I did see him, I wasn't a liar or a hypocrite, but the inspiration that I made myself out to be. Because the one thing the Black child needs more than mentorship is someone to tell them it's okay. And I got the chance to be this person. I got the chance to tell a little Black boy that it's okay to cry, to tell him he can make mistakes, to tell him he can be mad at the world. It's normal, especially when you look like us. And I got to tell him he has the power to change the things that he thinks he can't. Because there is intensity in the power of one. One voice, one action, one effort. That is what MAC taught me. And it is what I wanted to instill in the youth I got the chance to mentor. Today we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr., a man who continues to inspire us years after his painstaking death, a man who has changed the world beyond belief, a man who reminds us that we still have a long way to go. An inspiration. Do you think anyone looked at adolescent MLK and knew that's who he would be? But he saw it in himself. He believed in his voice. And the Black child needs to believe in theirs. The Black child needs to let their voice roar. The Black child needs to let it rattle the earth. The Black child needs to be Martin Luther King Jr. loud. And it might sound crazy when I say this, but I'll say it anyways. I want to change the world too. I know right now I'm just a Black girl with big dreams, but isn't that who MLK was, and who Rosa Parks was, and who Aretha Franklin was, and who Madam C.J. Walker was, and who Jackie Robinson was, and who Malcolm X was? Apparently, one voice can make all the difference in the world, but we can't do it alone. Black children can't do it alone. And thanks to MAC,
I learned that we don't have to. Thank you so much.
Give it up for our Max Scholars. Thank you so much. Wow. If that doesn't have you fired up, I don't know what will. Amen. Amen. Before we continue the program, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize that our United States Congressman Donald Payne is here in the office. Congressman Payne, please stand up and be recognized. Let no one pull you so low to hate them. We will now have a presentation on Soma against hate.
Hello again. Before I start about Soma against hate, I just want to take a moment to recognize the student editors and videographers who put together the program that you saw, the video that you saw about all the high school students at Columbia High School. And that is, if you would please stand up, Alex Ferrandez. Lutu Ike. And Sage Johnson, I don't think she's here. Oh, she's here. Unbelievable work, just phenomenal. Okay, I'm sure most of you know that in the middle of December there were some hate flyers and some posts posted in and around the South Orange and Maplewood. Within a couple of days, we took action. Representatives from the Coalition on Race, Soma Action, Soma Justice, and clergy, local clergy in the community came together and we founded the South Orange Maplewood, or Soma Against Hate Collective. In the process of this, we have several things that will be going on. The first thing I'd like to do is to allow the statement that we came up with to be presented. And our presenter will be Lisa Davis. Those of you who are on Facebook may recognize her name. She is the author of the blog, The Journal of the Plague Years. Phenomenal writer. So, would please come up.
So I'm just going to read our statement of the Soma Against Hate Collective. Soma Against Hate is a collective of houses of worship and community groups in South Orange and Maplewood. The collective formed in the wake of efforts by an anti-Semitic, white supremacist hate group to recruit in our community by posting flyers in prominent places in our two towns. We have come together because while we have all issued statements condemning this group in emphatic terms, we recognize that combating white supremacy requires a more sustained effort. While we would like to believe that it can't happen here in our intentionally inclusive and welcoming community, we know that these groups prey upon the disaffected among us. We also know that in the absence of a sustained response, these groups may escalate their activities and jeopardize the fragile and hard-fought safety that Jewish and Muslim people, LGBTQ people, African Americans, and other people of color feel in our communities. Soma Against Hate plans a multi-pronged campaign to combat white supremacy in our community. And the elements are as follows. We will post banners in a prominent place in both South Orange and Maplewood, bearing a strong message that our communities are for all people
and that everyone belongs here. The signs which you see up there, which are going to be available downstairs, we're hoping that everybody takes one and puts that on their lawn so that anybody driving through sees definitively that the community is against hatred. And in addition, we're going to be hosting a number of forums to educate the community on the number and nature of hate groups operating locally in our home state. The group that flyered here is a New Jersey-based group. We also want to educate parents and other community members on the various recruiting methods used and the warning signs to watch for to determine whether someone is coming under the sway of white supremacists. The Community Coalition on Race will act as fiscal agent for the collective, so donations to help defray costs can be made by check to the Community Coalition on Race. The address is 516 Prospect Street, Maplewood, New Jersey, 07040, for folks who don't know the zip code. And they can also go online to www.communitycoalition.org/donate and indicate SOMA AHC Against Hate Collective in the comment field. The members of SOMA Against Hate Collective are the Council on, and this is a list in formation, Council on American Islamic Relations of New Jersey, Prospect Presbyterian Church, Congregation Bethel, Sisterhood of Salam Shalom, Essex County Chapter, Duran Hedden House and Garden, Congregation Oheb Shalom, First Baptist Church of South Orange, Soma Action, First Presbyterian and Trinity Church, Soma Community Coalition on Race, North Jersey Pride, Soma Justice, Morrow Methodist Church, and Temple Shari Tefillah Israel. And for more information, you can contact Marsha Bloomberg at marsha.bloomberg@gmail.com or our own Barbara Velasquez at bvsomaaction@gmail.com. Thank you.
Well, those flyers will be available to you, so you don't have to memorize all of those email addresses. But I also want to thank Lisa again. I don't know if I made it clear that she was the author of the statement that we will be distributing. And this is our, I guess, announcement today, and you will be seeing more of those statements in various media forms. Okay, now, as several people have mentioned, it doesn't hurt to mention it again, that these signs, lawn signs, will be available downstairs in the volunteer room. And just before I want you guys to get started, I want you to, okay, let's start this. Hate has no place in Soma. Let's hear it. Hate has no place in Soma. Hate has no place in Soma. Hate has no place in Soma. Now, when I say Soma, you say we stand together. Soma! We stand together. Soma! We stand together. Soma! We stand together. Okay.
The beauty of genuine brotherhood and peace is more precious than diamonds or silver or gold. And I think that's fitting as I introduce Audrey Rhodes to the stage.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's so lovely seeing everyone. And you can't see here, but even the balcony is full. Soma always comes through, so we're so excited. I want to mention one important thing that was not indicated is those signs are free. So all you have to do is pick one up and put them on your lawn. We want every household to have a lawn as we stand together. I'm Audrey Rowe. For those of you who do not know me, I'm the program director of the Community Coalition on Race. And this time of the year, as we celebrate Dr. King's birthday, I'm sure all of you have heard on the radio and on TV speeches that he's made, right? You hear them all day. And coming over, I heard one that really touched my heart. And I think it's so important and speaks to why we're here today. Dr. King said in one of his speeches that hate is not a program. Hate is not a program. meaning all of our motion doesn't change things unless we put them together in an organized form. And that's what the Community Coalition is about. Putting together programs and actions to address the whole issue of racism. And you make it happen. We are a 501c3, which means that we are a nonprofit certified as an official nonprofit organization, but it also means that our funds have to come from you and from other sources since we are a nonprofit. So this is the time in the program when we ask you for your support to support the things that we're doing on behalf of the community. I'm going to ask that our volunteer ushers come forward now as I continue speaking. When we talk about programs in the Community Coalition, we're talking about programs like Conversations on Race. And many of you come out to join with us on this day, but you may not come to some of the other programs during the course of the year. Conversations on Race is where we bring in information, expertise. In this year, we're going to be bringing in Jelani Cobb in May to talk to our community about many of the issues related to integration and racism, and not only to talk to us, but help us to think through what we can do as a community to make change. Donations that you make help to go towards that. Ushers, come forward, please, as I'm speaking. Just come down front. Thank you. Other programs that the Coalition puts together on behalf of the community is integration through the arts, where we give each other opportunities to be in the same space, doing things that we enjoy. As the ushers pass the basket to you, we're going to ask you to dig into your pockets, pull out your checkbooks, and write a check for programs. Because anger and fear is not a program, and we want you to support something that really is a program. Other programs that the Coalition does on behalf of communication is Conversations on Race. And most times, confusion, separation is bred out of ignorance and fear and the inability to get the truth. And with our Conversations on Race, with our coffee house discussions, we give ourselves as a community a chance to come together and talk about those things that separate us and try to gain a larger understanding. Also, one of the key things that we work on is our schools committee. And you heard from our youth today that for all of the wonder that we have going on in these four walls in Columbia and all of the excellence, we still have work to be done. And so our schools committee works with the community, including the school administration, the school board, parents, and students to get us closer to that goal that we have for ourselves. I would also encourage, I don't know if you know or noticed that this year our music is being provided by the Beaufort School of Music, the Lindy, right? Students, and we thank them so much. As you dig deep into your pockets to help support these efforts, I'm going to ask them if they'll go forward with the music they've supplied for you at this time. And interestingly enough, I want to note that the advances that have been made in the area of integration and racism have not been achieved without struggle. Even the music that you hear will speak to the struggle that we had in even declaring Dr. King's birthday a holiday. And the author of the music you're going to hear, Stevie Wonder, wrote this song in Dr. King's honor. I believe it was 1981, when there was a big push just to have the holiday actually legalized. And here we sit today, we're happy to say. So with no further ado, as you continue to give and our ushers move through, say before I sit down, we don't want to rob people in the balcony of the opportunity to support this effort. So to our ushers, if you did not go upstairs, now would be a great time to do. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Audrey. All right, that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you to our youth, to our band, amazing. Love that song. So as we heard about Soma Against Hate had a really compelling presentation, I'd like to ask my fellow elected officials, Dean Daffis, Elizabeth Baker, Anne-Marie Manning, Claire Joshua, Summer Jones, Aaron Snyders, Mila Jacey, Bob Zuckerman, and Donnie Collier to stand up. I'd also like to ask Chief Kroll, Chief Duvall, and Deputy Chief Sally to stand up as well. Former Mayor DeLuca, Congressman Payne, please stand up. I'm asking you all to stand up, not only to be recognized yet again, but to let our community know that we too stand against hate. So we all raise our hands as elected officials and as leaders to let you know we stand against hate. Make no mistake. These, Greg Limbrick, these are your leaders. We stand against hate. Thank you all for your leadership. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to love. We will now have a young person's reflections. Noah Akinuje. Noah. Oh, sorry about that, Noah. There you go, mistake one of the day. There you go. I guess I'm human. Come on up.
You may be surprised to learn that I don't eat pork. I know this wasn't where you thought I was going to start off, but it's an interesting story, actually. One day at a restaurant, when I was about 5 or 6, around the age I started weirdly hitting, I asked my parents out of food, "Is bacon pork?" "Yes," was all they said. "Then I'm never eating pork again," was what I foolishly responded, thinking they meant pork was another name for bacon. Later, my parents filled me in on pork, and I grew increasingly terrified of what I had done. Hot dogs? Pork rib? Ham? Gone? I am now 11. I have not eaten a bite of pork for 5 or 6 years. My mom once told me to use that same commitment for my schoolwork. Anyway, that one yes my parents gave me, that set off a journey that lasted years. One word turned into one commitment, turned into governing my life, my food choices, my sources of nourishment. Obviously, this was just a minute example. It was a minute example. It was significant, but it was just one experience out of my 11 years of experience and counting. But it matters to me now on a daily basis. Now, I want you all to think about something. I want you to think about some word that changed your life in some way. Now go deeper into that word. Where did it come from? Did it come from faith or a regular book? Did it come from your parents too? Grandparents? Now, I have a challenge for you. Each of you channel that word throughout the rest of the day and every day. Think of that word and let that word be you. Like a spirit animal, kind of. Love that word and embody it. Maybe if you take Martin Luther King as inspiration, the man we are gathered today to honor, maybe if you take one of his words, it might be something like mountaintop, or peace, or nonviolence, or protest, or dream. Whatever it is, be the first one to say it, and be the first one to be it. Thank you.
Intelligence plus character. I'm telling you. And to that point, intelligence plus character, actually that is the goal of true education. Dr. King said that. So without further ado, Aaron and Josh, student poem number 3, and everyone else.
A will to champion. Hate is resentment, grim smoke and soot, sharp and sudden, a knife with no handle.
The burning embers, the blaring shrieks, as an innocent man lays unmoving on the pavement.
A black hole, you can't run from it. Just as the scales of justice become balanced, someone come along to challenge.
Death rang, the clouds of the bells of injustice, clouding the brilliant beams of heaven. Hate consumes your energy.
Soon you will see the power of youth, begging righteousness, calling for progression.
A euphoric breath of fresh air. Love is laughter, blossoming like tulips in May. Is free falling, floating on fellow feeling, a strong light that stays long after it's lost.
Sunshine, clear skies, a page in a long-lasting book, lifting sadness, defending the virtue of youth.
Power wears the trousers of American democracy, pockets teeming with Franklins and Grants.
The masses stop, an ocean of action, ripping down the street, holding signs, screaming chants as if they were a plea.
Power stands tall, above the stripes of injustice, projecting so even the back row can hear.
People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have remarks from the Community Coalition Chair, Kelly Porter. Kelly.
I'm going to set a timer so I don't take too much time up from our amazing youth here. I'm pretty honored to be the chair of the board of the trustees of the South Orange Community Coalition on Race, who I started volunteering for about 3 years ago, and to take over that role from Robert Marchman, who's sitting over here, who helmed us for the last 3 years. I want to thank the committee that put together today's program. We've already thanked all the elected officials many times, so I'll do it like that. But I would really love if the youth in our audience could stand up, and can we just thank you for being here and leading us? Right. And while you're standing, I just want us all to take a few moments to reflect on what it means to be together in community in a true, I'm sorry, you can sit, other people sit, in a truly intergenerational and interracial pursuit for intentional integration, equity, and justice. I'm really encouraged and humbled by watching all of you, and I know there's a bunch of dancers waiting in the wings ready to come out here. And I think the grown-ups in this room, and I'm now at the age where we get to count me among that, owe you all an apology. We owe you an apology because we didn't get it all the way right. And you have to grow up dragging us forward sometimes. And the way we're going to do that is if we work together. If we acknowledge your leadership and you call on us when you need us. If you honor what we've been able to do and call us to task when we've failed. We are committing ourselves going forward to justice, equity, integration, the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, a legacy that extends from kindness and love to a fearless moral inventory and a call to action to end our country and our community's ongoing moral and structural failing, which is racism. As Dr. King once said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. So we cannot remain silent in the face of racism and its multi-headed, insidious attacks. From interpersonal to violent oppression to structural and de facto racism baked into the laws of our country, the policies of government, and as we can see clearly in our schools, we cannot and should not remain silent. So being present today with our youth, who are energetic and bright in their power, I'll ask us all to listen to the wisdom each generation brings to this problem of racism. For those of us who are older and sometimes perhaps a bit weary, let us not dampen their energy, enthusiasm, and creativity. Let's leave this room unencumbered by things we have not been able to do in the past and learn from our successes that we have had. So for all of us together, let's keep building and let's work together. As always, I remain yours in struggle, and I hope you remain ours.
I know that love is ultimately the only answer to humankind's problems. We will now have a performance by our special dance team here at Columbia High School, who stand up from the movie Harriet, followed by the benediction by Rabbi Alexander Klein of Sherry Tefillah, Israel. Thank you.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, when I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Could you close that door? Because there's a Dre out there. Could you close that door? What's the problem?
Early in the morning,
let them stay out.
Before the sun begins to shine.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I gotta make up mine. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I
Let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. An ancient rabbi once asked his students, "How can you tell when night has ended and day has begun?" An eager student spoke up first. "Could it be that the day has begun when you can see an animal in the distance and tell if it is a sheep or a dog?" "No," answered the rabbi, "that's not it." Another student wondered, "Is it when you can look at a distant tree and tell if it is a fig tree or a peach tree?" "No, that's not it," answered the rabbi again. After several other students tried to answer the rabbi's question, all without success, that rabbi took a deep breath and said, "My cherished students, the night has ended and day has begun when you can look upon the face of any person and see that it is your brother, your sister. Because if you cannot see this, there is darkness, it is still night." Dr. King knew the perils of darkness, and we know that the darkness of his time still exists today. But Dr. King also offered us a solution when he said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that." The power of a single flame is immeasurable because its light can kindle another and another and another. We sit in this room surrounded by light in darkness, the illuminating flame of our youth, of our families, of our neighbors. And yet we know that there are so many candles that are yet to be lit, so many souls who remain in the dark night. And so I invite you, if you are sitting at the end of a row next to an illuminated luminary bag, to lift it up. I invite all of our youth who are here on stage to lift up your luminaries really high and respond to each of the next lines with the words, "Let us be the light." Only the light of compassion can drive out the darkness, and we say, "Let us be the light." Only the light of trust can drive out the darkness. Let us be the light. Only the light of friendship can drive out the darkness. Let us be the light. And only the light of beloved community can drive out the darkness. Let us be the light. Out of the night, a new day will come, illuminating the dark corners of our world. Let there be light. Let there be light. Let us be the light. To which we all say, Amen. It is my honor to invite forward my fellow members of the Soma Clergy Association, as well as the trustees of our two towns and the Community Coalition on Race and our elected officials, and in particular also the community leaders who helped to plan this remarkable celebration of Dr. King's legacy, to please come forward and join us here in front of the room so that we can together lift up our voices, lift up our spirits in song.
downstairs for some refreshment and more importantly for volunteer opportunities, because it's great to come and sing and fellowship, but it's even better to serve. See you downstairs. And pick up your luminaries, and you can also pick up your